Hello, hello, and welcome to this video. In this video, we will continue reading through the documentation of PostgreSQL for JSON functions and operators. We had continued till here, and we will continue with JSON populate record set. So at the end, I will show you my question answer website where you can come and ask questions related to PostgreSQL. And I will happily answer your questions. That is, if I know. There is no promise that I definitely will answer your question or will be able to answer your question. So let's start from here. We have JSON underscore populate underscore record set or JSON B populate record set. It takes any element as a base and also some JSON input or JSON B input and returns set of any element. Expands the top-level JSON array of objects to a set of rows having the composite type of the base argument. Each element of the JSON array is processed as described above for JSON B populate record. So we create a composite type, two ints, where A is an integer and B is also integer. And in JSON populate record, we specify this type, and then we give the JSON array where the types A and B are provided, the integers, and it is shown in columnar form. Then we have JSON to record or JSON B to record. Both take JSON and JSON B respectively. So expands the top level JSON object to a row having the composite type defined by an as clause. As with all functions returning record, the calling query must explicitly define the structure of the record with an as clause. The output record is filled from fields of the JSON object in the same way as described above for JSON or JSON B populate records. Since there is no input record, unmatched columns are always filled with nulls. So we define a myRow type composite type where A is int and B is text. And then we convert a JSON piece of data, JSON to record. So if you look at the record, A is 1, B is an array, C is also an array, E is string, and R is a JSON object. So we read this as A int, A is integer, B is text, C is integer array, D is text, and D is not given here, okay, and R is myRow type. So A becomes 1, B becomes 1 to 3, C becomes 1 to 3 array. Notice the difference of the array. This is an array while this is text type. Look at the parentheses and the braces. This is Postgres array. So D, nothing was given, so D is empty, and R is the JSON data. Okay, and again here A is taken as integer and B as text. Then we have JSON to record set, takes JSON and JSON B respectively for JSON and JSON B type of function, and returns a set of records. Expands the top level JSON array of objects to a set of rows having the composite type defined by an as column. As with all functions returning record, the calling query must explicitly define the structure of the record with an as clause. Each element of the JSON array is processed as described for JSON B populate record. So we have select star from JSON to record set. So we have an array, JSON array of two elements. Both have A and B. A is an integer. Both do not have A, both have A, and first one has B. A is an integer in first one, and B is full. So in B, A is 2 and C is bar. And we read this as X, A integer, B text. So the first one becomes 1 and full, and the second row becomes 2 and empty stuff because we don't have B for the second element in the JSON array. Then we have JSON B set. We have a target of type JSON B, path of type text array, new value of type JSON B. Create if missing is a Boolean optional argument. Returns target with the item designated by path followed by new value or with new value added if 8 if missing is true, which is the default. So by default this is true, and the item designated by path does not exist. All earlier steps in the path must exist or the target is returned unchanged. As with the path-oriented operators, negative integers that appear in the path count from the end of the JSON array. If the last path step is an array index that is out of range, and create if missing is true, the new value is added at the beginning of the array if the index is negative or at the end of array if it is positive. So we have a JSON set here. So it is an array. The first element is f1 with value 1, f2 with value null, and then we have further JSON elements 2, null, and 3. Then we have 0, f1, and then we have 2, 3, 4, and false, followed by okay. So first we need to see the target. So this is the target up to here, and then we have path. Path is seems not given, and the new value starts here with the f1, 2, 3, 4, and f2 null, and then followed by 2 null and 3. What it returns is JSON set. Yes, it returns JSON set f1 1, f2 null, and then 2. So f2 was null and specified null here as well. Then 0 and f3. 0 and f3 have come from the 0 and f3. So 0 seems to be coming from here. And field 3 is filled from the path. Field 3 seems to be coming from path. Then we'll see where this comes from. Then we have 2, 3, 4 from here. And then we have f1 1, f2 null, and f3 2, 3, 4. So f1 1 comes from here, f2 comes from here, and f3 2, 3, 4 seems to be coming from here. I'm not really sure that how this works. Okay, I will need to spend some time on figuring this out. So I'll explain this later. We will mark this to be studied later. I'm not very clear about how this works. Then we have JSON set lax takes a target path new value like previous one, create message and null value treatment text. So we will leave this one also because this one is similar. So we now look at JSON insert. The target is JSON, path is text array, new value is JSON, insert after is boolean, and it returns JSON. Returns target with new value inserted. If the item designated by path is an array element, new value will be inserted before and that item. If insert after is false, which is the default, or after if the insert after is true. If the item designated by the path is an object field, new value will be inserted only if object does not already contain the key. All earlier steps in the path must exist or the target is returned unchanged. As with the path-oriented operators, negative integers that appear in the path count from the end of JSON arrays. If the last path step is an array index that is out of range, the new value is added at the beginning of array if the index is negative, or at the end of array if it is positive. Okay, so let's try to see this. Okay, so we have A012 followed by A1 and new value here. So this is bracket. So JSON we insert, this bracket is matching which one? So it matches this. Okay, it shouldn't match this here. It is not the full call. Okay, this is the JSON object. For our case, this is target. And then we have the new value path text. Okay, that is A1. All right. So insert after is false. So it should be inserted before that. That is, it should be inserted before first index of the array A. And the value which is to be inserted, new value is new value. So see in the output, it is inserted before 1. And here we have 0, 1, 2, A1 and new value. And this is true. This is true means insert after is true. So it will be inserted after 1. That is how it works. Okay. Then we have JSON strip now, target JSON strip in arrays boolean. So deletes all object fields that have null value from the given JSON value recursively. If strip in arrays is true, the default is false. Null array elements are also stripped. Otherwise, they are not stripped. Their null values are never stripped. So we have this array, JSON array. First element is an object f1 1, f2 null. And then we have 2, then we have null, then we have 3. Okay. So strip in array is false here. So this null will be preserved, but this won't be preserved. So that's how we have got f1 1, 2, null, and 3. In the second case, strip in arrays has become true. So this null will be stripped, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have JSON path exists, which takes a target JSON path JSON path, vars optional JSON type, and silent is boolean. Returns a boolean. Checks whether JSON path returns any item for the specified JSON value. This is useful only with the SQL standard JSON path expressions, not predicate check expressions, since both always return a value. Since those always return a value, if the vars argument is specified, it must be a JSON object, and its fields provide named value to be substituted into the JSON path expression. If the silent argument is specified and is true, the function suppresses the same errors as the @ and @ operators do. So we have this array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are looking at root element and then at the elements of A. So it will give us values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the condition is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these values should be greater than min, and min is 2, greater than equal to min. So 2, 3, 4, 5 will match this condition, and max is 4 and should be less than equal to max. So 2, 3, 4 will match, and the return value will be true. Then we have JSON-B path match, which has target JSON-B, path JSON path, vars JSON-B, and silent. Similar to a previous one, it was JSON path, JSON-B path exists. This one is JSON-B path match. So similar stuff returns the SQL Boolean result of a JSON path predicate check for the specified JSON value, and the text inside the parenthesis is the same, and the other arguments are same. So in this case, the logic is same. Now in this case, it should satisfy the similar conditions, and again 2, 3, 4 will satisfy, so it will give us true. Then we have JSON path query, similar signature, returns all JSON items written by the JSON path for the specified JSON values. So description is same. So as we have discussed, 2, 3, 4 will match, and the output will be 2, 3, 4 because it returns all JSON items. Then we have JSON-B path query array, similar signature, returns all JSON items written by the JSON path for the specified JSON. So again, like previous one, it is the same. It will return 2, 3, 4. Now, JSON path query first returns the first JSON item returned by the JSON path for the specified JSON. So the first element is 2, so it will return 2. And if that is not the case, then it will return null if there are no results. Then we have JSON-B path exists tz, JSON-B path match tz, JSON-B path query tz. So the signature is similar to previous one. And then we have JSON path query tz. JSONB path query first needed. So 5 functions in one. These functions act like their counterpart described above without the td suffix, except, except that these functions support comparisons of date or time values that require time zone aware conversions. The example below requires interpretation of a date-only value 2015 802 as the timestamp, 2nd February 2015 as the timestamp with time zone. So the result depends on the current time zone setting. Due to this dependency, these functions are marked as stable, which means these functions cannot be used in indexes. Their counterparts are immutable and so can be used in indexes. But they will throw errors if asked to make such comparisons. So we have this date time here, and it is being checked whether it is less than 2nd of August 2015 dot date time. Now you see this function, okay? So by default, it is date time without time zone, okay? So it will take the root element, which is the array, and the value in that. Now if you look at this value, it is noon and -5 hours lagging behind GMT. So in GMT, time will be without the time zone will be, if you take the GMT time, it will be 5 p.m. on 1st of August, which is definitely less than 2nd of August. So it will return true. Then we have JSON underscore petty, which converts a given JSON value to pretty printed in entered text. So if we give it a JSON value, this is how it will pretty printed. Then we have JSON type of, which will take, or JSONB type of, which will take JSON or JSONB type and returns the type of the top level JSON values as a text string. Possible types are objects, array, string, number, boolean, and null. The null result should not be configured with an SQL null. See the examples. So we have -1 2 3 4. It is a number. Null colon colon JSON is null, and null colon colon JSON is null. So it is true. So now in this case, this capital null is null. Okay, but this one within quotes is not null. It is a JSON type null. It is not SQL null. Now we come to SQL or JSON path language. Now I think this will be a big one. Let me see. I don't think we can finish this because there are subsections also. Okay, let me see. We will not be able to finish it. So what I will do is I'll stop here, and in the next video, we will continue with JSON, SQL JSON path language. I do not want to break it into 2 videos. So we will finish this entire discussion from 9.16.2 to next section. That is up to here we will study in the next video. And then we will, let's see how much is strict and lax mode. There is no way we can finish this in one video. This is a big section, so we'll try to study up to here in the next video. And I'll stop this video here, and I hope that you enjoyed. And there is some homework for me, that is, I was not able to explain uh, these two values. Okay, let me try again. Okay, I can try it. Okay, so JSON B set. Which one I missed? I forgot. JSON B set and JSON B set lags. These were the two which I could not do, right? Let's try this again. Okay, let's try if we understand. So we have target path text new value JSON B and create if missing. returns target with the item designated by path replaced by new value or with new value added if create is missing is true. So that is the stuff. So this is our target. Okay. And then we have path as a text array. Okay. Followed by new value. So this one looks like path 0f1. Okay. And the new value is this. And create if missing is false here. So new value for f1 at 0th location is to be filled with 234. That is why it became 234. And f2 was null, it remained null. And then 2 null 3. 2 null 3 was what was the output. Okay. Now we look at this one, JSON reset, which is okay. So in this case, this is the target. This is the path at direct location. We put f3, and the new value is 234. So create if missing is true. That is absent, and by default it is true. So here f3 is not in the path, so it is created. Okay. And it became f1, f2, f3 because it is supposed to be put at 0th location. So this is the 0th index in the array. So 2, 3, 4 is put in here, and then this 2 has come. So that's how it has worked. Okay. Similarly, JSON relax is similar behavior. The new value is not null, behaves identically to, if new value is not null, behaves identically to JSON reset, otherwise behaves according to the value of null value treatment, which must be one of rage exception, use JSON null, delete key, or return target. The default is use JSON null. So null value treatment text is the new thing. So let's see how this works. We have this JSON array, and we are looking at first field. Okay. And then what we are supposed to do, null. Okay. So new value is null. Okay. So f1 is set to null here. f2 was null, 2 null 3 were copied. Similarly, in this one, it is, we are looking at f3 at 0th location, and null is the new value, and create if missing is true, and return target. Okay. Return target. So new value in this case is null, and we are doing return target here, and that is why it was not returned, and we got this entire thing on the output. So I hope that I was able to explain these two. It takes a bit of time to let the thoughts sink in, and this is a bit messy structure. It is difficult to read text actually. So I hope that I was able to clarify the problem, and this homework I am not carrying anymore. If you have got questions about this, let me know, and I will look up some examples. The example will be given at the end as well once we complete the JSON stuff. So to remind you that we will start with JSON SQL path language in the next video. We have to go, lots of details are there. Up to page 371 we have to go. We are only at page 342. Let me show you the JSON stuff. So it starts at 329, and we are at 342. Okay. And we have to go till up to here, 362. So 24 pages we have to go through, and then this will be over. So I hope that you are enjoying and finding this video useful. So I'll take my leave here, and I'll see you in the next video. It would be nice if you could give a like. So I'll meet you in the next one, possibly tomorrow. and we will continue where we left off. And thanks a lot for watching the video. Have a great day ahead. Stay curious, keep learning, and most importantly, enjoy.